Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Crucible Chat. Yes, it's Saturday. It's part of my weekly series where I play a bit of Crucible multiplayer in Destiny, and probably badly, and I talk about whatever happens to be on my mind. This week I actually wanted to talk about Destiny, or rather, I actually want to talk about kind of the way people have been hating on it, and kind of talking about haters in general. I mean, haters are going to hate. That's something you can't get past. But in the kind of 2-3 weeks since Destiny's been released, there has been a lot written about it online, both for and against Destiny. And I kind of feel like people are being very unfair towards the game. I mean, yes, you put any idiot in front of a keyboard and they will put their opinions down on the internet. It's to be expected. But I think a lot of it derives from the fact that people didn't understand Destiny. And I think Bungie made a point of putting out a public beta and a public alpha where, you had a fair bit of time to actually play the game. And I still think just reading people's opinions online, on Facebook, on Eurogamer, on IGN, and all that kind of thing about Destiny, people just don't seem to get it. People just haven't read or haven't realised what the game is actually about. So the main concerns that people seem to bring up is that it's repetitive, or that it's boring, or that it's not Halo, or it's not World of Warcraft, or, I mean, a lot of the hype leading up to the game coming out was based around the fact that the game is this kind of persistently online world, it's like an MMO wrapped up in a first-person shooter. And then all these people are coming out and giving it hate and talking about Metacritic scores as if they matter. And just saying that, it's a terrible game. And it's not. When you get down to it, well, in my eyes, it's got some of the most satisfying first-person shooter action I've seen in a long time. I mean, I love Wolfenstein, I love some first-person shooters. The problem I think people are approaching it like Call of Duty, and people are expecting it to be some hyper-reactive Twitch shooter, which it isn't. It's far from that. It's heavier, it's weightier, it's entirely different. The combat, I find, is actually perfect, because when you're playing Call of Duty, you react so fast to things, and you move so quickly, it's almost inhuman. You don't play Call of Duty as if you're a soldier. You play Call of Duty as if you are a super soldier with no physical limits. You move around so quickly, the snap to target is so quick. The battles are high-paced and frenetic, and the balance isn't realistic in it. The balance is... And it's the same with Battlefield as well, to be fair. They're both much for muchness. They're hyperactive, basically. Whereas Destiny is slower. It takes a while to move your weapon around. And granted, yes, there is kind of assisted aim in some cases, and an element of snap to target when you go down the iron sights. But overall, I mean, if you watch how I'm playing, I mean, I'm fucking shit at the multiplayer. I'll give you that. But it's slower. It's more reactionary. You kind of have to be a bit more tactical about it. I mean, I keep dying because I keep wading into a fight here. But when I actually do manage to get some kills in, I do it by being tactical, by flanking people, by using the right weapons, aiming for headshots. The kind of things you would actually potentially do in a battle. You wouldn't, in real life, if you were in a battle, you wouldn't just run screaming into an enemy, because you'd get yourself killed very quickly. And it's the same way of working with Destiny. And I mean, that's just in the multiplayer, though. I mean, a lot of people show concern about the campaign mode, the fact that it's either horrendously difficult when you're playing on your own, or it's too easy when you're playing with other people, or the fact that all the missions are largely the same. Fend off waves of enemies, get to the end point, set your ghost away doing something, and then defend until he's finished. And, well, yeah, it's a simple formula, but you know what, it works, and the battles, to be fair, are still exciting. I mean, when you're in Venus and you've got hundreds of Hive coming towards you, especially if you're playing on your own, it's actually quite exhilarating, because it gets your heart rate up. You put a bit of stress on yourself, and you have to deal with hundreds of enemies. What was the mission? It was the Chamber of Light, I think it was, where you get down to the bottom of the shrine, and you have, I think I managed to get something like 150 odd kills in that level because the way the enemies kept spawning. It's ridiculous, but it's brilliant at the same time. And this is where I think kind of people's misinterpretation of the game comes in, because it's not a, it's kind of, I want to say it's not a corridor shooter because it's not, but at the same time you are kind of led down a path and then you have waves of enemies to deal with. So in that respect it is, but it is more like a game like Diablo or World of Warcraft, where enemies spawn in waves and you have to then dispatch with them and then move on to the next bit, as opposed to like Call of Duty, where you're funneled down and there'll be a handful of soldiers to pick off at any given opportunity. God, I'm shit throwing grenades. Did you see that? That was awful. And yeah, the way the game is structured to me feels more like a game like Diablo, where you go down the path, you get waves of enemies, you deal with them, you pick up whatever loot you happen to find, and you carry on, all the way down to a big boss at the end that has to really suck up all your attacks. And to me that works. I mean, that is a lot more satisfying than a really heavily story-driven shooter game. I mean, I love the Halo games. Well, up to Halo 3, I didn't like ODST, I didn't like Reach, and I never played 4, because by the time 4 came out, I was pretty much a PS3 player exclusively. But they always left me a bit cold because the story overtook a lot of the gameplay. It's why I like Dark Souls and Demon Souls so much, because there is a story there, and it's a very deep story, but you have to want to find it. If you're not bothered about the story, you don't have to talk to every character and exhaust the dialogue, you can just go through and kill everything. And that is a really satisfying thing for me, because, you know, I like the option to embrace the story as much as I want, and Destiny does it the same way. You get a little bit of a briefing from Ghost, or the speaker, at the beginning of each mission, and yeah, there's a couple of cutscenes, like the ones with the Awoken, and the one where the speaker kind of introduces everything that's going on to you. But by and large, the story is up to you to find out. You know, you check your Grimoire cards online, you go through and build up the lore, you know, what happened before the collapse, and that kind of thing. But, you know, if you're not interested, if you just want to go through and shoot shit, you can. And the campaign mission, I still haven't finished the campaign yet. I'm working my way through it. I've just unlocked Mars, and I'm enjoying them. The Vex ones are really actually good new challenge because they're a different kind of enemy. Their ability to teleport makes them so much harder to deal with. But I think the one thing I do like is that I've been going back and doing the older missions, helping my lower level buddies. It's like the other day I spent 2 hours helping my friend Dean on the moon. I mean, there were missions that I really struggled with on my own when I was like level 10. But then when I go back as a level 16 to 18, I'm tearing through shit, but I'm enjoying it at the same time because these waves of enemies are coming, and it's a bit harder when you've got a second player. You know, there's more wizards to deal with, there's more acolytes to deal with, the waves are a lot larger. And everything just seems to make more sense. And I think the game is built in such a way that you don't have mission objectives which grate on you. You know, you go back through, you do the missions again and again and again. Again, much like you do with a massively multiplayer online game. I mean, World of Warcraft, granted, yes, by now, with all the add-on packs and that, the world is huge. But you're effectively doing the same missions over and over again for a different person or for a slightly different loot. But, you know, you go through the game once on your own, you finish the story, and then you go back through again, helping other people at a higher difficulty. And then on top of that, you then get the raids, and Destiny's doing the same thing. There was the Vault of Glass raid, which a lot of people have raved about. And it amazed me the fact that the first team to play it, the Prime Gaming or something like that they were called, they took 10 hours. 10.5 hours to get through the Vault of Glass. I think they racked up a combined kill ratio of like 2,000 kills and 200 deaths each. Well, 2,000 kills between them, but like 200 deaths each, which is obscene. I mean, it sounds so difficult and so gnarly, but at the same time, I really want to try it, and I'm desperate to get myself to level 26 so I can unlock it before they get rid of it. But then as well, Bungie are doing the World of Warcraft thing and the kind of massive multiplayer thing where you have timed events and you have community events. So at the minute there is the Queen, the Queen's bounties, where you get different bounties and new legendary gear for completing the bounties. And it's that kind of thing which keeps it coming back. So what might start off when you're playing on your own at the beginning as a very limited game actually builds up to be a really in-depth, really complicated shooting game which is supposed to keep you coming back for more and more and more. And then on top of that, there are the 2 announced downloadable content packs, which I was a little bit pissed off about that when they were first announced, but the more I think about them, the more it seems that they're going to be worth the money. I mean, the season pass is £35 for the 2 of them, which I think means they're going to be about £20 each when they actually do come out. Now, for that price, you expect a huge amount of content. And I've seen a lot of things where people talk about other planets that aren't in the main storyline, like Jupiter, or other areas. So I think someone mentioned Chicago on Earth. So I think what you'll actually get for your money with the 2 add-on packs is going to be vast. You know, it has said it'll include new story missions, new raids, that kind of thing. So, for my money, at the minute, everything is really good. I'm really enjoying Destiny, and normally I don't pay much attention to first-person shooters, but I've played it every single day, near enough, since it came out. And first-person shooters just generally bore me. I like fantasy games, I like role-playing games, and this is actually taking a lot of boxes for me, because there's an element of fantasy to it. It's a bit more sci-fi than fantasy, but there is an element of fantasy to it. The role-playing game part of it, granted, it's initially a bit more shallow until you reach level 20, but it is really good. I enjoy seeing my Guardian grow and, you know, unlocking new skills and some devastating new attacks. The shoulder barge, which I unlocked just before the last video. Second to last video, the archive. Yeah, I unlocked shoulder barge just before the archive. That attack is tremendous. It's great fun. I enjoy the hell out of it. So, I mean, but those are the kind of the reasons why I love Destiny, and I think it's a wonderful game, and it's been unfairly criticised in my eyes. But over the last few weeks, I've noticed the same thing is happening in a myriad of ways, and just the people's behaviour when it comes to stuff that they don't happen to like, but other people love, is starting to get on my nerves at the minute. For instance, obviously big news that the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus came out about a week ago. And then there's been all this stuff about the fact that the 6 Plus, the way that it's been made, it can cause it to bend, and can cause it not to work, well, basically bend in your pocket, because it's aluminium, it's super thin, so it warms up and it bends. And, you know, it's physics, it happens. But there have been a lot of people out there who are just going online and slating Apple for making this, but who have no intention of ever having an iPhone themselves. And go, oh, this is why iPhones are shit. Oh, this is why Apple are terrible. And it's like, well, no. Who could have expected that kind of thing? I mean, yes, aluminium heats up and it bends, but I hardly expect the QA testing for the phone involves having some hipster with uber-tight jeans sitting in a car for 14 hours with the phone in his pocket. You know, it's something that kind of, in retrospect, yeah, it should have been thought of, but at the time it could hardly be predicted. I mean, industrial engineering doesn't look into that kind of thing. It looks into usability, functionality. Looks into whether you can bend it with your hands, which you can if it's warm enough. But you know, I don't know. It's the same. People are going crazy over this thing, and yet I understand why when it's the people it's happened to. I understand their frustrations with that. It's a £600 phone, and it's breaking in some cases quite easily. But then at the same time, there are all these detractors coming out and saying, oh, Apple are shit, Apple are awful, and that kind of thing. It's like, well, no, fuck off. You have no intention of buying Apple products. I don't care what you think. You know, it's like, I'm on a couple of gaming forums. If I ever happen to mention the fact that I use a Mac, oh my god, the shit I get for that. Oh, you shouldn't use Macs, PCs are much better. Oh, glorious PC Master Race and all that shit. Fuck off, I like my Mac. I use a Mac, not because it's fashionable. I don't have a MacBook, I have an iMac. You know, it's a desktop one. It doesn't go out. Nobody sees it unless you come into my spare room. I use an iMac because I use Final Cut Pro. I use Logic. Well, I've tried using Photoshop and failed it, so I use GIMP instead. But, you know, I use the Mac for media production, for making my YouTube videos. I don't use it to sit and pose. I mean, I get annoyed by hipsters who buy Apple products, and specifically Macs, just to sit in a Starbucks and look posh while they're browsing Facebook or Instagram and shit. And you're falling behind. But I mean, this is the brand that Apple's become. They've become a very fashionable brand. But at the same time, people give Macs such hate because they don't understand them. I mean, I didn't buy my Mac with the intention of gaming on it. I do play some games on it, but it's a desktop, it's out of the way. I prefer to game on a console where I can sit in the living room on a comfy sofa and do it rather than on this little wooden seat that I've got in front of my desk. You know, it's just... But, sorry, I'm getting off topic there because I'm now talking about why I love Apple. But what the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, there are people absolutely slating things and saying this is awful, these companies are atrocious, they're shit and all that, when they have no intention of actually ever supporting them and have no intention of buying the product themselves. If you bought an iPhone 6 Plus and it's broken and it's bent in this way, you are entirely justified to be angry. And at the same time, you take your phone back to Apple and they replace it for you, which is more than fucking Samsung or HTC or anyone like that would do for your phone, because they don't have that customer-facing attitude. And it's starting to gripe on me the way people are just hating on stuff for the sake of it. I mean, Destiny, it's a wonderful game, but you have to understand it. I mean, people rag on Dark Souls because it's hard. And it's like, well, you just don't understand it because the game is challenging, but it's not hard. It's not unfair. You just don't get it. You know, and that's not to sound like I'm excluding people. The reason people don't get it is so many games these days are so easy. You know, they hold your hand through it, they expect you to go in, hack, it's dead. But Dark Souls isn't like that. You go in, hack, no stamina, splat, you're dead. And you have to think about your battles. Every boss is effectively a puzzle. You have to work out the best way to kill them and survive. That's the point. Too many games put you as these kind of overpowered super soldiers or these mega powerful knights or what have you. And Dark Souls flips that on its head and says, no, you're weak, you're vulnerable, you have to overcome the odds. And Destiny's a lot like that in the same respect, because granted, yes, you level up your powerful and you can tear shit apart, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much shit you can tear apart if you're not playing the game properly, because then you'll just end up getting destroyed by wave after wave of Hive because you get easily overwhelmed on your own. The point is, you take your friends and you work as a team, you build up that way, and then, you know, once you finish the campaign mode, then you go back and help lower level players when they're stuck. You know, you get them through those big boss fights, you get them through each level, and then, you know, you come in and do the raid, you do the level 26 raid, or you do the strikes, and you get the more gear, and you just keep going and going and going, and I think that is the point of the game. You know, again, going back to Dark Souls, that's why you have the New Game Plus cycle. You know, you finish the game, great, now do it again, harder. And Destiny is the same way. All of the MMOs are the same way. You finish the game, you go through, you do the higher difficulty levels, you do it with friends, you do it with different people. And that's where I think people have misunderstood Destiny. Because, you know what, it's a wonderful game. Bungie have done an incredible job. It looks incredible, it plays, it's the best first-person shooter I've played, probably since I played the first Halo game. And I'm happy enough to put my opinion out there and say that it's a tremendous game. I love it to bits, and I think people who are... I mean, if you don't like the game, that is fair enough. You don't have to... I'm not saying everybody has to love this game. Everybody's different. But what I'm saying is you should understand why you don't like it. If you don't like it because you don't like first-person shooters, then yeah, you're not the target audience for it. If you don't like it because you don't like the world it's in or the way the combat goes, you prefer Call of Duty, that's fair enough. But just say that. Don't say, oh, Destiny's a shit game because I don't understand. Oh, Call of Duty's much better. Fuck off. Just admit that you just don't like the game because you don't like the game. Don't try and compare it to anything else, because to be fair, there aren't many games you can compare it to. You can pretty much compare it to Halo, and that's about it, especially gameplay-wise. For the online stuff, yes, you can compare it to any massively multiplayer online game you can think of, but the only real comparison Destiny has is Halo. So if you enjoy Halo, you'll probably enjoy this game, and the only difference really is that you don't have the huge cinematic experience that Halo has, because it's hard to deliver a story like Halo's, certainly as complicated as Halo's, in this kind of persistent online world. It doesn't work like that. That's why any massively multiplayer online game has a very sparse story, allows you to fill in the gaps for yourself. But yeah, just oh god, I'm starting to rant here. I'm really sorry, but yeah, it is just basically, if you don't like Destiny, at least have a decent reason for not liking it. If you don't like the game because of what it is, that's fine. But don't just come out and say it's shit, because it's not. It's a technological marvel. It's a fucking wonderful game. But hey up, as I said at the beginning of the video, haters are going to hate, and you can't. I'm sure I'll probably catch a lot of hell for this particular video. So I'm going to sign off in the very nicest way possible and say, if you don't like Destiny, don't like it. But please, just don't put vile, ranting bile in front of me. Because I love the game. I'll be playing it for a long time to come. And I think it is one of the... Especially for this new generation as well, if you're playing it on Xbox One or PS4. I think it's the first proper next-gen game. Watch Dogs tried and failed. Because it just didn't have the gameplay to support the graphics, and to be fair, it didn't have the graphics it came advertised with. But Destiny, for me, is the full package. So, yes, that's this week's little Crucible rant. If you've enjoyed this, please do leave a like and subscribe, and tune in next Saturday for the next in my little Crucible series, and we shall see... I shall have a good think on what I can talk about, maybe try for something a little less ranty next time. For now, though... Have a good night.